Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff Gordon from Writers Boot Camp, the founder since 1989. This new speaker series, Creative Currency, and we're waiting for our guest today, uh, which has a subline which is exploring the value of creativity, is motivated by both the disrupt and in the industry and also the continuation of runaway production from LA, which has been a problem for many years now, ever since I moved here. In fact, though I've never been to Vancouver, it's amazing how much production is not in LA, around the globe, in Europe, Atlanta, which is also struggling at the moment, to Canada. And so it's difficult lately for newcomers to the industry to broadly see their path of success. And as I'm sure this series will discuss and address, including looking at new opportunities and pivots from the streamers taking over. Oh, it looks like here's Shira. Hi, Shira.
1 second. I am
No worries,
just
I'll finish
plugging
my
in.
thought.
Yeah.
With the streamers taking over and then the actor strike, the writer strike, of course, after COVID, and really no recovery from COVID. Hi, Shira.
I have to.
You're on the side. There we go. You look great. You
Thanks.
look
Sorry
great
about
straight
that.
up and
I'm like,
down.
I'm vertical right now, so I apologize because for some
No,
reason
it's great. But
happened.
long story short, then the fires hit. AI is looming, and it looks like there is some hope. And I do believe, as this series, Creative Currency, will address, and we used to use this term to represent scholarships that we would offer, creative currency. But I'm glad to introduce my very good friend, and actually I gave you the nickname Superstar Lazar, Shira Lazar, of What's Trending. Although, based on being a storyteller herself, and in a way an influencer of influencers, what's interesting is how, and we'll get to this briefly in these quick hits, because I think I have two long form interviews with you, one on video, one probably only audio. And then I was telling our director of development, and thanks for his help today, Brad
Yeah.
Miller. Oh yeah, let's not forget, because I was trying to get this new microphone working and it's not connected yet, because
Yeah.
I need one of those XLR cables to
I have
aux.
this, and yet I still have tech issues right now.
Yeah.
I need to
But what
rejigger
I was going
this.
to say, let's not forget, while she briefly stayed here during COVID in the guest room, she was running a radio, producing a
And that was
daily
crazy.
radio
That was
show,
crazy.
which is unbelievable. So thanks, and lots of love for you and what you're doing for being the inaugural Creative Currency guest speaker.
Oh, thank you. What an honor.
Exactly. So the goal is to have 30 minutes of these weekly, maybe up to three, so that by the end of the year we get to, new content to go with our archive of long form
Yeah.
filmmaker and writer and artist interviews, although you're an artist in your own right. So I covered some ground in terms of two major trends, the past, the disrupt of the industry, but then the continuation of runaway production. And I feel in some ways, and you're going to make comment on this as we get through a few basic topics, instead of creating dramatic material, the traditional studios may wind up essentially being in the drama of the real estate world. It
Yeah.
feels like there's just a lot of fighting for land and property. But going back to, and I still am amazed looking back at this, the fact that you called your internet news platform What's Trending. How did you know to name it that? And what year was that exactly?
That was in, I guess we launched in 2011, so probably in
15 years?
20, yeah, that's crazy. 2010,
You
or we,
started
I
it in high
start,
school, in junior
yeah,
high, you
exactly. How
started
did
it?
you know? 2009, I probably did the first deck, and then throughout or 2000. Yeah, I think I came up with the idea in 2009 to start pitching. It took a year of pitching to brands, launching in 2011. But at the time it was because there was the trending tab on Twitter. That's where I would be getting the news and filtering the news.
Got
Although
it.
now that's very normal. At the time, it was very industrious, and to be looking at that as a filter for what everyone was saying, the water cooler. It was a social media water cooler.
Right.
So I thought I should come up with a show around what's trending and giving people insights into all the things that we're sharing, but from also the leaders, the people that are sharing it. Also, at the time, you would follow someone online, and if they weren't a traditional celebrity, like Ashton Kutcher or Larry King was online, but if they weren't that person, you never really saw them on video. You never were able to interact with them, even though you followed them on Twitter. And so I wanted to bring those people to life and also bring in a mix of celebrities, like traditional political thought leaders, like the representation of who you would follow, right? Which is a mix of a lot of people. For some
Right.
people, I
Right.
wanted to have a show that represented that at the time.
It's unbelievable because when you look back at it, in internet time or social media time, that's an eon, right?
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
long ago, and you've seen all these changes. Can you describe that business model and then how it's evolved?
At the time, it was pretty much there was a lot of built if sold, so you would build ideas, and that still is a big concept, but I think it's actually might be going away more, and I'll say why. But it was a lot of, oh, you would sponsor a web series, you would have integrations, the call outs, the things we do now, or you might also buy media like programmatic and banner ads against it. Or, at the time I was with CBS News, so they had a CBS like digital network. So you were still
Right.
buying both integrations and media, which is still very common. But that was basically how it was done. YouTube was the only platform where you had monetization at the time. They started their partner program, which was very early and pioneers in that. And other than that, there was no other ways. Like maybe you got hired for a company to do that for them, right? That was another way you could say to monetize.
And then how
How, yeah.
did you archive those interviews, and did that grow your YouTube channel, or was that all done through what's trending?
Yeah, like, and even before that, I had a show called The Partners Project that was on YouTube. I mean, I think that there are probably better ways to archive. A lot of people, have their whole Dropbox situation now, or they're very organized in terms of where the archive is beyond just hard drives, right?
Right.
And yeah, so, and you could search everything, including with AI search now, from words to the topics or the file names. I think that depending on the team I had, different teams established different ways to archive. So I think we have some on Google Drive and some on the Dropbox,
Right.
some on hard drives. Thankfully, I would say I love the fact that we uploaded a lot to YouTube because it was an easier place then to point at, right? So now if someone's looking for our archive or where can I find all your stuff? Well, we do have at a certain year we started posting on this back end player called JW Player that goes to our website too. You could just go to YouTube to see most of it. I kind of
Right.
am fine with that because a lot of our stuff is news, etc. I think that obviously if you did scripted and all that, I think depending on what types of content you do, your archive might look different and where it is. Um, but I like that it's there because it was yeah, as you mentioned, it was part of history in many ways, and people could kind of see and reference it. I did an interview with Business Insider about stuff about Mark Cuban being a mentor. So and they needed a lot of references. Like they wanted to make sure I was telling the truth about everything I was saying, beyond Mark then saying, yes, this is true. But it was helpful to have, oh, this is the date I interviewed him first. And then, oh, this was a video I did when I met him. Like there's a certain year where things stop, where you just have no reference point,
Well, Shira,
because,
we'll get to
yeah,
these a few initiatives and topics that are so important and so inspired that you're
yeah.
involved in. But Mark, recently, like within the last 2 weeks, presented an award at the Shorty Awards to you as the top creative creator advocate. And you were so
Yes.
funny in that moment. You're like, he does show up. He won't respond to everything, but
Yeah, he won't. He actually responds to everything. He won't show
right,
up to
he
everything.
won't
He
show up
actually
to
is a
everything.
great, even he's been known, strangers will email him and he'll just like respond yes, no. He's very quick to say, "Oh, I'm interested, I'm not interested," which I appreciate.
That
But
that that video is available on your Instagram, right? So
yes, you could see it on
what's
all my
that handle?
social at Shira Lazar, Shiralazar, my
Yeah.
name.
And just a quick YouTube mention, we will be, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We're getting active. There are about
Yes,
five
you're
or
getting in
six.
the digital realm, Jeff. I'm so excited.
We have such digital archive, but
I
it's
know.
so challenging to access, gather, edit, etc. Although
Yeah.
you were one of the people, although Brad was leaning towards StreamYard, but one of our alumni does an Indianapolis kind of behind an Indy 500, like, that kind of car racing forum, and he uses Riverside, and then you affirmed it for us. So this is our first attempt on Riverside, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
One last thing on what's trending. Is it more of a news company or a consulting agency?
It's a digital media brand and publisher with, I would say, consulting and strategic services. And
Okay,
so we definitely have a part of us that's more B2B and strategic services, and then the consumer facing side of it as the media brands and company,
right.
which I think a
So,
lot of bigger companies do. I mean, if you really dig into some of the bigger media companies, the models are, they're getting sponsors for their content. They're maybe, yeah, building community on social, etc. But they're doing, paid events, thought leadership. They're not events that their consumers can access, but like that they're events that brands and experts and industry leaders are at. And then they sell against that. And then they figure out a way to also use their platform to promote that and editorialize it. So I'm seeing the smartest kind of brands. I mean, we're a smaller, more independent brand really doing that. And then behind the scenes, if you're working with the brand and you can help bring their storytelling to life, I think more and more brands are becoming storytellers. They're becoming their own media brands, right? Like
yeah,
consumer
and I
brands.
actually had that thought a few minutes ago about you because first, we have to mention your amazing initiative, Creators for Mental Health, and I've now been 2 years in a row at your the full day forum that you've done at Lighthouse in Venice, which is a co-work space. Also, the Digital Workers Bill of Rights, which you're working on with Ro Khanna, and Congressman Ro Khanna from California, and I'd like you to give us an update on that. Then you recently did, and I saw some of them, the 30-day AI challenge of tools and approaches. And then I want you to explain your
Yeah.
11,000 women AI.
That that was
That
connected.
was
That was
it.
the
Yeah.
11,000 plus women joined the 30-day AI
It's
challenge that
unbelievable.
we
And then I
did.
missed the dinner that I maybe wasn't invited to because I'm male.
No, we had a workshop.
Okay, I thought
It was a
wasn't
workshop.
there a dinner or a panel
There was at the
on the 11th?
that was no, that was a workshop, women in AI
Okay,
workshop. And we always say if it's women, it's allies too. We
that's
invite
great.
our male allies, but
No,
the
because I've
idea is
spoken at Women in
sharing.
Film in various cities
Yeah,
over the years. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's a similar thing. But yeah, so I have What's Trending. I have my personal brand where I cover creator economy trends, emerging tech, AI, and then I would say topics I'm passionate about, like mental health, especially in this space. And that's what led me to start Creators for Mental Health as an organization, bringing mental well being tools to the creator economy in our communities. And we do events like the one you were at. We've done research. We have a service, a therapy service. So if you're a creative that is independent, you're not on a W-2 and you're looking for discounted sliding scale therapy, we have creator care. And we're going to be doing a lot more to come around that, including creating virtual spaces, safe spaces where people can come and convene, a Slack community, etc. So we want to fill that gap for a lot of digital gig workers who don't have the perks, they don't have HR, they don't have that foundational support like if you had a job. I mean, you're a business
Right.
owner, etc. And the nature of work is changing. More and more of us are going to become partially creators because it's a way to market and build your business. And so how do we create some support around that? It starts with mental health, but really mental health infiltrates every other part of it, right? It hits financial, it hits how you work with brands, how you work with platforms, how they work with you. And that's really where the Bill of Rights ended up being. It was inspired by Creators for Mental Health and the work I was doing, and then kind of expanded from there.
And
So
is that going to Congress?
we're trying. It's a resolution right now. Basically, the Creator
Because
Bill of
how many
Rights.
videos can you do on the Capitol steps, dancing, like learning to crip walk or something?
Oh my God, it's so funny. No, so
Can I
basically,
tell you,
what's
you're
happening?
so positive. Your
I
emotional
appreciate. I don't
availability.
feel
What I
what.
always say to people is, as savvy as you are in business, you're not a calculated person. I mean, you're
I should.
knowledgeable.
I need to be more calculated. I'm really good at launching ideas and that launching ideas, and then there's the whole other thing of execution and scale. I'm good at
Right.
executing, but like operating and scale,
Yeah.
so trying to find partners for all these things. But basically, creator bill of rights, it started out with this framework of how we want the ecosystem to approach this new digital gig worker that creators are. So recognizing that we're small business owners, that we're actual workers, that we should be recognized by the labor department. That's some of the stuff that's happening. But we want pathways towards monetization on platforms, so we're not doing or
Work for
normalizing
free.
free labor, basically. We want customer service, especially if our livelihoods are relying on these platforms to be able to get timely responses from the platforms when things are impacting our livelihoods. There was
That's so
what?
crucial and so
Yeah.
intuitive of you because here, even with partner programs, how does a creator know that they can solve a situation quickly
You
where they
know,
are contributing financially to these
yeah.
huge entities who are, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they're all, negatively based or robotically
No,
run.
there's pros and cons to each platform. I mean, there's a reason why we're all here is because, well, there's a bit of like a feeling of we need to be here or else we won't survive. But also, there's a beautiful connective tissue and discovery that happens. No one can deny that, the power of these spaces. And then also, it's important to look at the gaps, right? And some of the issues and how do we solve those problems? And they're not really difficult. There's also, in the Bill of Rights was about protecting creators and their IP and likeness around AI. So some of these things are in the Creator Bill of Rights. We're still
Is
looking for some
is
bipartisan
there
support.
a platform or a handle or a website for this in particular, and can people volunteer and they can they be foot soldiers for you, with you? Are there those kinds of
Yes.
opportunities?
Yeah, so if you go to creatorbillofrights.com, I believe you could go to thechange.org. But really, if you want to also, I'm probably going to have to do this because I just recently started from the Creator Bill of Rights. I saw the interest. And then because there were other things going on, protections and laws being launched, I realized that the same people wanted to be involved in that too. So we're expanding it more to a creator advocacy group. So which will keep you up to date with the Creator Bill of Rights and any other laws impacting this community and industry. And
Right.
so you can DM me, you can DM creators number 4 mental health, go to creatorbillofrights.com. But then if you ask, we do have a signal chat we're building out to keep people in the loop, as well as an email list. And we will be doing monthly town halls where we get to learn and connect with Congress who are interested in launching different laws, obviously give you updates on where the Creator Bill of Rights is at and how you can support that. And then learn from others. So, I'm talking to people doing this kind of work in the UK and other countries who can really help inform us and give us some ideas too. So we'll have like special guests talking about that. So anything to do with the digital gig worker, creator economy, laws, protections, this will be kind of the space to learn and get involved.
That's awesome. I remember maybe 10 years ago being at La Cabana late one night. That's the
Yeah, Mexican
classic
stuff.
Mexican restaurant on Rose and Lincoln in Venice. That used to be open till 3 a.m., but now it's just on Fridays and Saturdays. And you guys were at a big booth talking about Twitter, and you were probably
Oh,
like the 11th person or something like that. But so we go to Twitter, we go to Instagram. I probably have BTS of you making TikTok videos during COVID.
yes. Yeah.
The bottom line is, what are some of the expanded tools that you've been using, and can you give us a couple of highlights from the 30-day AI challenge? And because I spoke to somebody at an event Sunday who was an engineering major at USC, and he's now doing software, and he said you can actually take some of the AI offline and
Yeah.
use it for yourself. And I know, just being newer to Instagram, how many screen saves I do based on people talking about, from content creation to editing programs to different tools. Philosophically, on an educational basis, I still feel that the sophistication of an educational process like Writers Bootcamp is
Yeah.
important to then
Yeah.
be able to create the right prompts. But we're also protecting our proprietary material,
That's
150
true.
tools and exercises.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the tools that you're recommending or utilizing as a priority?
Well, there's two things, like what I'm using and like referencing what you're talking about. So you're talking about obviously Claude Coworker came up, and being able to organize, and there's in the settings you could also turn on and off of like use this to train versus when you're using something to organize, and then you're not always allowing it to do stuff. You need to tell it when you want it to do stuff and give it permission. So you have to be aware of that definitely as you're navigating, especially if you have sensitive material. And there's also some other folks that I could send you to that that actually talk about using AI offline, not just off the desktop, off like your what's it called, your window. Like Cowork can, it goes off to your desktop, but offline there's also ways to go offline, so it's not connecting to the cloud, or it's not,
Right.
it's like literally owned by you but working for you. So those are two separate things. um
And
but
without,
for
and short
me,
of giving you an assignment, maybe
so
there's a 10-point recap, not necessarily a summary or transcript of this, but if you have some thoughts, and then we could share that with our
yeah, I
alumni
could put
community.
something, yeah, I could put something together of steps on using Claude Cowork to do what you just said, which is organizing your desktop, where you can get it to move things in different folders, et cetera, to clean it up. And then there's the how to use AI offline, like almost like off the grid, you could say. And then I would say there's some tools like I've recently used, like this company called Stan, where it will log into your LinkedIn or your Instagram. It will analyze it, give you insights as to like what you're doing right and wrong. And it can help you with the captions, build out a 30-day content calendar. That was a cool tool that we used as part of the 30-day challenge that I got to play around with. And then, of course, like even Riverside here, they have AI tools. What's great, where you can do cut downs from here.
Hmm.
Once it's done, it makes it really easy versus going into another program and doing it. A
Oh,
lot of
it gets
people, yeah,
overwhelming, just the
totally.
vertical format of Instagram versus LinkedIn versus what we're storing on YouTube. And everybody needs
Yeah.
all these things. And, I hesitated for years because we had 60,000 names in our old school Access
Yeah.
database 15 years ago when Facebook took off.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're intuitive about these things. It's also somewhat of a generational thing. And I see the
Yeah.
analogy and parallel between, somebody loses their manufacturing job and they need to be trained and retrain themselves to find another career. And
Yeah.
on a storytelling basis, what is the story that's your go to right now? Most of the people, so many people, and you're interacting with so many people you've already worked with and know of you. But then there are new
Yeah.
people, and let's say you meet an executive at a brand. What's your paragraph? Because it includes what's trending.
Oh my God, it's hard. I mean, sometimes I wish it was like more clear. I mean, it depends. I do say digital media brand publisher, what's trending, covering what is trending online. So if your brand wants to trend or is trending, we should talk. Hey.
That's a great
Um,
line.
and then for me, it's I create content around the trends of the business. So there's sometimes a brand that wants to talk more about what they're doing and why, and thought leadership, and then also AI. Like they usually perk up when I talk about those things. And then when I talk about and the on the impact side, mental health, there's either most people think it's really important, but either they might say, "Oh yeah, my company's really focused on that. That's not actually something really important," or it crosses into some of the territory of stuff I need to promote. We're actually looking at that intersection right now. So when I bring up those three buckets, I usually quickly see where they perk up and where the interest lies, and then I double
Got
down
it.
into that versus trying to sell everything, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of, you need to see what they're interested in, and then
I think
you
that's
move
the
into that.
the essential benefit of having longevity in your business. Because that's the baseline from which you have credibility.
I think, yeah, the baseline is definitely having been around, having experience and context to see how things have shifted, the knowledge, the community. And then even me, like, I still feel like I'm always at the beginning and there's so much more I could do, right? Like, there's people that have blown up and that are obviously much bigger and make X amount of money, or, I go back and forth between this scale that can happen and the reality that there's people that are hugely successful in this space that don't have huge scale, that are really niche, have hunkered down in that, and then have been clear about who they are and they own that. So
Right.
like that is real too. Like if you talk to someone like Evan Shapiro, who is this like media cartographer, he obviously has expanded more into like how do you build these maps for all these different things relating to media, and that has definitely now shifted to digital media and creator space. But overall, he even says like, I don't want to scale this, I don't want to raise money, I don't want to hire a ton of people, I just want to work with like my small team and be on my own schedule. I've already had like, I've been an exec at major companies and had all these employees. That's not what I want. And I really
Right.
respect and appreciate that, because I think we are in a moment where so much is possible. And also there's realities to like that it can be really challenging with so much going on and so many people going at it at once.
Right.
So
The
I
wo-
think,
the the
yeah,
working slogan of creative currency, which is a subset of activity under Writers Bootcamp's banner,
yeah,
is exploring the value of creativity
yeah,
and what that translates to. So I liken it to the parallel between being an artist and being a business. And I have an old line that goes, busyness is not necessarily bringing in business.
oh well, that's like, I think I fall into that territory all the time, as you know. Like I love being busy, I love learning, I come up with lots of ideas, and it's learning what ideas are worth putting to the side or saying this is not mine. Like I think it's a good idea, maybe could it make a lot of money? Who knows? Everything's going to require work. So it's your decision of like, where do you want to spend your time? Are you passionate enough about it? And are you passionate enough about it to push through the obstacles that might present themselves to you around that.
Right.
So, but overall, because this is storytelling, I do think we're in an interesting and really important moment for storytellers. I think there's a need for storytellers. Uh, the many people talk about the big headline of ad agencies and brands that, and even venture capital companies. The job that they're looking for is the storyteller job right now.
Hmm.
And of course, with the understanding of the tools. So you're not turning a blind eye to AI and all the tools and emerging tech and social, but you know how to tell a great story with these tools and with what we have at our disposal today. I think the people that hunker down on that will win, and there's a lot of job openings around that. But obviously you're not going to be the person doing a story and hiring a whole team to do it. How can you do it with what we have, right? Our phone, the apps, etc. I've seen a lot of people who are great reality show producers and script writers who have now become really successful on Instagram, because in the end you could hear how they talk and how they share their topics is a story. It's just a short story within what works on that platform. It's not that different, right? It's like you
Right.
learn to tell a story for movie theaters, you learn to tell a story for TV. Now, how do you learn to tell a story for this medium?
How do you apply the tools to any format?
Exactly, exactly.
And you already, being as intuitive as you are, and we could talk all afternoon, of course, because you're inspiring. Um, is there is there any other pivot or emerging trend that you're anticipating that would also be helpful for artists, filmmakers, etc.? And this series is going to include much of that, and we're going to cover topics like verticals and micro
Yeah,
dramas, and there are even trends on all of the social media platforms where
yeah.
more reels are like, I don't even know how certain images show up, but they're not even shown on somebody's feed. They just show up. And why does
You mean
something from
recommended?
yeah, it's crazy. Oh, by the way, before we get to that last closing
Yeah,
question, I saw you were so excited about Kiki Palmer.
I was.
Can you
I
give
think she's
us,
awesome.
yeah, how as as an entertainer and an artist, she's awesome. But what does she also represent to you in terms of what she's how she's trending or what she's doing
Yeah.
in your world?
I think just because I've also know some people who work with her, and what I've heard and understood also from how she's recently told her story. One, how she's owned her story and who she is in front of the camera and behind the camera. She's really showed up to showcase who she is. As she says, she's Kiki Palmer's her stage name, or like her business. It's not even
Okay,
stage name, it's her business. Lauren, her full name is Lauren and she has a middle name Palmer. And like she did an amazing TED talk of that, of how she had to learn to figure out who she was because she wasn't in, and separate the two.
right,
Right. And so
right, because our
I
identities are so wrapped up.
exactly, exactly. And I really respect that, how she looks at that. She sees the nuance in it. She's obviously gone viral recently because of her podcast and speaking out about a lot of things. Just she has a lot of emotional intelligence that I really respect. And she's a hustler. She is hustled, right? I think that so many people who took her path as in traditional media as an actress, again, they see all this other stuff and they go, like, I don't want to do all this stuff. I'm an yeah, and no hate, but like I'm an artist. This is who I am. It's in this box, and I'm not moving from that. And it feels like she's embraced both her art and then just who she is. I just really respect that.
That goes
And now
back to
she's
your
embracing, by the way, just FYI, she's has her on the digital front, she's blown up on social. By the way, she hustles. Like she was a morning show anchor. She was, I think, on GMA at a certain point
right,
doing that. Like I'm like, go girl, like you are everywhere and take advantage and do everything.
right,
So
and
I
you
love that.
identify with the multifaceted
I
aspect
exactly. Sorry.
of being
Thanks for
an
saying
artist,
it.
but also by being
Exactly.
an individual human being.
Human, artist, entrepreneur, like embracing all facets of you. I love, and being really, she seems very sincere, not packaged on camera,
Right.
right? Which I really appreciate. And one more thing is that she's now, doing a residence at UCLA where she's trying to teach entertainment to, um, groups of people that typically are left behind, making sure to empower them as storytellers. And I really love that. And so she's raising money around that. She's raising money around her company. I think she's
It
someone,
sounds
if you're
like
not
she's
already
going to
looking out for
encourage you to
her.
get back to your book, The Inner Hustle. Right?
I actually, so she's going to be at this event I'm at right before. And then she might even be, oddly enough, the night before, I'm having this like private dinner. And someone said that she might be there plus one. And I was like, "Ugh,
That's
what?
awesome.
Me and Kiki, we need to connect. I feel like there's alignments.
Okay, so let's, first of all, you're an amazing person and friend of Writers Boot Camp, and personally to do this. Um, can we wrap up with any other pivot or anticipation of like the next thing?
I think we're definitely moving into a mode of solopreneurship and embracing being a digital gig worker. So how do you do that? I do believe it's by staying curious, learning all the things and testing them out, trying it out, see what resonates for you. Uh, that's the only way you'll know versus just hearing about something and saying you hate it.
Yeah,
I'm
whatever
sorry,
happened
it's
to
not going to
that
work for you.
platform called Second Life? Do you
That was
remember it?
forever ago. Yes.
Yeah.
But also, I would say, this is a moment of getting your expertise out there as a storyteller, as someone who's been an industry expert. The information and your experience is valuable. So leaning into your personal brand and then figuring out how that leads into deal flow. So the fact is, the more you put yourself out there and make people understand who you are and what you know, the right people will find you, right? But no one's going to know
Right.
what they don't know. So this is not a moment necessarily to stay humble about what you know and what you've been doing over the past few years.
That's so helpful. So in
I
addition
don't
to
know if that's a trend,
no,
but it's time to
but
lean into your strengths and who
but
you are and
in
your
addition
story.
in addition to you sharing a few steps, I'll share if anybody emails me jg at writersbootcamp.com, um, my list of 10 ways of branding yourself, exercises and tools, forms of journaling. And I'll just say that our next roster of the 10-week basic training from idea to 3 drafts of a pilot or a feature or the foundation of a book starts July 1st. Shira, thank you. Love you. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
This
So
is
appreciate it.
excellent. I think I need to stall while we finish this, so if you
All
want
right. I'm going to
to
jump
jump
out. Bye.
off.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye. Bye.
thank you. Thanks for everybody. If you're watching this by the end, again, Writers Boot Camp is here to support artists and writers and filmmakers and actors who are creating vehicles. We love working with our A-list people, people who are available for 10 hours a week to commit to their projects, working actors, uh, advertising professionals, accomplished and aspiring producers and filmmakers, attorneys who want to be more creative, and generally people who have parallel process, academically excellent people who apply themselves to new endeavors. So feel free to check in with me for upcoming events and this Creative Currency series. Thanks to Shira Lazar. Thanks to Brad Miller on staff at Writers Boot Camp. And you can email me at jg at writersbootcamp.com. Thank you so much.